Hare Krishna. Today is Monday, July 14th, I think. Welcome to Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji Temple. I'm very nervous, Prabhu. This is my first Srimad Bhagavatam class. So looking for your mercy. You help me with Karta? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Kalachandji Radha Kalachandji Radhe Radha Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki Jai. So today I was told that I can pick up any verse. That's the Monday. So I picked up the verse where His Holiness Asita Krishna Maharaj on Saturday, I think he did 8.5.47. So I picked up 8.5.48. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You can say with me, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiryate. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavad Tulyam Loke Bhaktir Bharvati Nashtaki. By regular attendance in the class on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of services to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with the transcendental song, established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Radhanath Maharaj ki jai. 8.5.48. Navamah karma kalpopi Vifalayeshwararpitah Kalpate Purushaseva Sa Atmadayito Hitah. Navamah karma kalpopi Vifalayeshwararpitah Kalpate Purushaseva Sahe Atmadayito Hitah. You would like to know? Navamah karpa kalpopi Vifalayeshwararpitah Kalpate Purushaseva Sayatma Daito Hitah. Navamah kalpa kalpopi Vifulayeshwararpitah Kalpate purushaseva Sahi atma dayito hitah Navamah karma kalpopi Vifulayeshwararpitah Kalpate purushaseva Bhakti atma to pritah Navamah kalpa kalpopi Te purusha Sahatmandayito hitah. Translation: activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed in small measures, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entity. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Very small font, so I printed. In Bhagavad Gita 2.40, the Lord says, Swalpamasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This dharma, devotional service, is so important that even if performed to a very small, almost negligible extent, it can give one the supreme result. There are many instances in the history of the world in which even a slight service rendered to the Lord has saved a living entity from the greatest danger. Ajamil, for example, was saved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the greatest danger, that, that of going to hell. He was saved simply because he chanted the name Narayana at the end of his life. When Ajamil chanted this holy name of the Lord Narayana, he did not chant knowingly. Actually, he was calling his youngest son, whose name was Narayana. Nonetheless, Lord Narayana took this chanting seriously, and thus Ajamil achieved the result of Ante Narayana Smratihi, remembering Narayan at the end of life. If one somehow or the other remembers the holy name of Narayan, Krishna, or Rama at the end of life, he immediately achieves the transcendental result of going back home, back to Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the only object of our love. As long as we are in this material world, we have so many desires to fulfill. But when we come in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we immediately become perfect and fully satisfied. Just as a child is fully satisfied when he comes to the lap of his mother. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest to achieve some material results by austerity and penance. But when he actually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said, I do not want any material benediction. I am completely satisfied. Even if one wants some material benefit from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this can be achieved extremely easily without hard labor. Therefore, the Shastras recommends akamah sarva kamo va moksha kama udharatihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham parama. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Even if one has material desire, one can undoubtedly achieve what he wants by rendering service to the Lord. I always feel that Srila Prabhupada, every time when I read purport, it feels like the entire philosophy is in that purport. And even if we read one, I think we can make it if we do it properly. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavind Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Anshadalpakarubyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It is purely for my own purification and request for service I decided to do this. I have not spoken on Srimad Bhagavatam before, so please, any mistakes are my mistakes. Anything that is good coming from my Guru Maharaj. So I'll read a little bit of the translation from previous verse and the verse after that, just to get the context what Maharaj read on Saturday. It was such a beautiful class on Saturday, and that we can, build upon that, what he shared with us. So he was reading verse 47, and the translation was that karmis are always anxious to accumulate wealth for their sense gratification. But for that purpose, they must work very hard. Yet even though they work hard, the results are not satisfied. Indeed, some of their work results only in frustration. But devotees who have dedicated their life to the service of the Lord can achieve substantial results without working very hard. These results exceed the devotees' expectations. And then 48 that we are discussing today. Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. And the next one is, when one pours water on the roots of a tree, the trunk and the branches of the tree are automatically pleased. Similarly, when one becomes a devotee of Lord Vishnu, everyone is served, for the Lord is the super soul of everyone. So in this context, I can share some of my realizations and would love to hear from all of you also. Not much will come out of me today anyway. I think when I was hearing the class last Saturday, one of the beautiful things Maharaj said, that Ravan worked so hard. And Vibhishan got it just because he folded hands in front of Lord Ram and he got the whole Lanka. And he worked really hard for several decades and thousands of years to get what he wanted, which was totally at material platform, and also not really going to Lord Vishnu or Ram. And so there are so many stories, like, even, that reminds me, Prahlad Maharaj's story. His father did the same thing. It worked so hard for so many, millenniums, and then ultimately what happened? Dhruv Maharaj, who went to do the penance in the forest, he went in the mood of, competing with father. His father who worked so hard, but ultimately, Lord Vishnu gave him Dhruvloka. So one of the part in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was saying that the devotees will exceed the expectation. They will get much more than what they're expecting. And it is extremely hard to realize that, actually. And I'm now talking from my realization perspective that, when I am on the material platform, which I am right now, which is where verse 47 is so applicable to me, and I meet with all the people, both in the whether it is my Bhakti Vrakshas members or it is my work, we do not trust Lord. We means me and some others that I interact with. And we do not trust the word of Guru. We do not trust the word of Shastras. So Guru, Sadhu and Shastras, which is what leads to anxiety at the end of it. We, in my case, trying to hang on to something, that somehow something good is here, so hang on to it because somehow I will make it, but I do not want to leave this. And in that process, even in practicing Bhakti Yoga, majority of the day goes into somehow I will hang on to this and hence I will be okay. But because I do not know what to do in life, because there is a little bit of a realization that happens at some point of time to some of us, that this cannot be the goal of life on a material platform. At that point, we start looking what else is there that is good, which will make me feel meaningful. And in that process, either I would turn towards philanthropy or something good, some donation, or somehow I'll hang on to some kind of pujas and karma kanda activities, or maybe bhakti yoga, a little bit. That gives me little satisfaction that now I am safe, but I can keep doing what I'm doing. And the good thing is that, in this verse towards the end, where is that? Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desire to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Even if one has material desires, one can undoubtedly achieve what he wants by rendering service to the Lord. So that starts making sense. That somehow, with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who knows that several of us, including myself, we are not going to listen. We're still going to hang on to our old culture, old ways of doing things, and still looking at those material goals, trying to justify every day that this is actually, I'm doing it for devotional service. And I'm going to serve Vaishnavas. But really it is desire to serve myself. And this is an amazing verse that comes in Srimad Bhagavad Gita in chapter 16. I think I have it printed. It's verse 13, 14, and 15 together. I might have it somewhere. Yeah. The divine and demonic nature in that so perfectly describes the situation that I feel that I am in or I have gone through. And I'll read the translation. It says, the demonic person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in future, more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifice. I shall give some charity. Thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. And so this is how actually the culture and the life is today in Kali Yuga. And I've gone through it. I'm still trying to figure it out, how to come out of it. Even though I was born in India, even though I was born in very pious family, I was very lucky to have my forefathers, my grandfather, somehow associated with Srila Prabhupada at some point of time. But I did not had an opportunity to take advantage of that
and did not do anything for 40 years until I came to America in 94, and still was engaged in exactly same things what is described here. Somehow I have to be most powerful, somehow I have to accumulate wealth, somehow I have to have a fame, somehow I have to be able to tell everybody what I am doing. And in that process went through until somehow with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada I met some devotees, and that's when the transformation started happening. And so even when I'm at work and I'm meeting with people outside, that is the culture we are in today, which is so bombarded, whether we go to school, whether we are in college education, whether we are at work. The first thing that happens that if you do not make goals to grow on a material platform, then you're not worth it. And with that culture, we learn right from school how to be miserable, already in the miserable world. Instead of making best of our worst situation, we actually learn how to make worst of the worst situation that we are in. And hence, we continue to live our life from elementary school to middle school to high school, which is the most miserable state for kids, the high school, when starting from 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then college becomes the foundation, where we have no idea what to do. We've talked about this so many times. The reason I'm touching this because that is where I spend most of my time. So I can't tell you a lot of stories from Srimad Bhagavatam, but we can relate to Ajamil's story here. That things can happen anytime. We can get attracted to these material opulences so easily if we do not have proper association. And association is such a powerful tool that even the universities and the corporate sector, they spend millions of dollars to create courses around association, which is such a simple thing that Srila Prabhupada is telling every day, every time, and every lecture. Our scriptures are filled with this, how powerful association is. But they want to do so much of research. They want to reach to some conclusion after spending so much of money, effort, and time, that they have created programs that if you want to grow materially, you need to associate with a mentor. And Srila Prabhupada is telling this for free. Again and again, our Shastras are telling this for free, that association is such a powerful tool that can also make us materially very successful, that can also take us down without us knowing it, and that will absolutely make us successful on a spiritual platform. And that is why, a simple example is that many of us who move to Dham, is only reason we move it, somehow we get some association, or our kids can go to TKG, or something that we can do service. Similarly, we'll see that people try to buy their houses in an area based on zip code. Actually, school ratings are like that. In this zip code, this is the type of people who live in, this is the demographics, this is your black, white, in Asian community, and hence we decide based on this, yes, my child has to go to this school. Why? Because we look for that association. So we know the value of association. What we forget is what is the true goal of life. So when I was reading Ajamil's story, and this is very interesting, many times students ask this question. Ajamil was such a wonderful life. He lived such an amazing life. He got best of the both worlds. He enjoyed materially and then he went back to garden. Literally, university kids, they say that. And we forget in this process. First of all, Ajamil is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, so he is not an ordinary personality. Right? The fact that his story is there. Second is, people do not know the full story, and they kind of conclude things by hearing a little bit, what happened to Jamil, the story we all know, that how Yamadutas came and he was so scared, he called his son, not really knowing he's going to call Narayan, but Narayan is so merciful. You call the name of Narayan. Vishnu Dutas came. They had argument. Yamadutas left. Vishnu Dutas, allowed him to continue live. Then he realized, he got this realization back. But the important thing is that he did so much of service. He did so much of, spiritual service before falling down that he was able to recollect with the mercy of the Vishnu Dutas. And that's when he went to Haridwar, did his service, finished his bhakti yoga process, and then he went back to Godhead. So it wasn't that in one life he was able to remember everything. And that part is mostly forgotten when we are having this discussion, at least for me, that Antakale cha mameva, we won't be able to remember Krishna if we have not practiced properly. And in order to remember Krishna, we really have to go back to the fundamentals, which goes to, I always, one of the favorite verse from the Nectar of Instruction is Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha. In that verse, several points are mentioned, which also describes the mentality that takes us down without knowing is, which is overeating. We all know that. One of the most important point that appeals to me is that over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. And of course, associating with mundane people and making those goals, etc. But this point that over endeavoring for mundane things that are extremely difficult to obtain, that is where actually today's culture teaches how to spend the time and die. I keep telling my daughter, who is saying that I'm going to do PhD, and I said, okay, what are you going to do in PhD? You're going to spend 6 years and conclude that why did apple fall from the tree? Krishna says in Bhagavatam that I am that force, but not discouraging her. And I know Mataji is PhD too. No offense to any PhDs. But the point is that we have to choose wisely what do we do, and we align our goals even on a material platform. That really gives us the big bang for our life. That's the saying, right? Finally you get something the best out of it. Otherwise we have really wasted our life. Because the Srila Prabhupada always tells old age, disease and death is very, very painful. And I see it, I'm sure all of you see it too. I experience it with my mother. It's extremely difficult, extremely difficult. What I realized, two things that which are very, very personal, very individual. Nobody can help. Even Guru can take us to a point where Guru can give us environment, Guru can help us get association, Guru can build these temples, Guru can put us in among devotees, but we have to chant. Nobody else can chant for us. Bhakti is very personal with Lord Krishna. We need to build our own relationship. Even our spouse, our parents, nobody can do that. It's very personal. Just like when we get sick, we all can do everything to reduce pain for other people, but the person who is sick has to go through their own pain. There is nothing I can do, no matter how much I love my children, my parents, my spouse, they have to go through that pain. So that is an individual journey. Similarly, Bhakti Yoga, in my understanding, is an individual journey. Association helps us, but we can choose either to hold the hand or not to hold the hand. And that is the choice we have. And so, it says whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, that desire is what really makes and breaks everything for us. So, which is the root cause of everything. if we excel in Bhakti Yoga, we are able to serve our Guru and Gauranga. It's again desire. How do we cultivate? So I remember my Guru Maharaj says this. I've heard this incident, such a beautiful incident, that one time Srila Prabhupada was walking with his disciples, and as he was entering into the car, devotees mostly will ask questions, and there's one devotee, I do not know who was that, who would never ask a question. But this time, as soon as Srila Prabhupada was entering into the car, he asked the question. He came in middle of the door, and Srila Prabhupada, as he said, and he said, Srila Prabhupada, what is the one most important critical thing that I must do? Something like that. And everybody was thinking, okay, this devotee does not ask this question, and everybody was silent, waiting for Srila Prabhupada to respond and speculating that he's going to say chanting, surrendering, service. But he did not say that. Maharaj says that he just answered this in one word. He said, desire. And then in his lectures, he also says that, what if we don't have desire? Then we have to desire to desire. Desire to cultivate the desire. And so, when I was contemplating and meditating on that, it kind of made so much sense. And so please correct me if I'm wrong. And I felt that actually, what is the root cause of this desire, which is free will? We know that, right? But essentially, why we are not able to desire to serve. How much time we have, Prabhu? What time we close the class? 8? Okay, so we have about 5-7 minutes before. Okay. Well, 8:30 including question answers, right? Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, 15 minutes. So, the desire, I was thinking that why we are not able to desire to really serve, in my case especially, and then, I was looking more logically and scientifically from Bhagavad Gita. So what I understood is that, if we think of desire in a box, that this is my face of desire, and desire could be material desire, could be spiritual desire, but essentially the next step to desire is I contemplate and meditate on it. That, okay, I have this desire, so second box really is meditation. And it could be material desire, and that is how material world is working, that I desire to get something, and if I don't have means, then I'm going to meditate on that. How do I get it? How do I make plans? Whether I need to get more money, or I need to cheat somebody, I need to do something, I have to make a plan for that. And that's my meditation. And after the meditation, I have to do karma. Now that I have meditated and contemplated how I'm going to get it, I'm going to perform activities. That is my third box. So now I'm performing activities which has two results. One is whether I achieve that desire, and that creates on a material platform more lust. Right? Now I want more of that. Now I want to repeat that. So lust comes. And if I do not achieve, that it creates anger that I did not achieve, and so I am in that mode. But why do I desire certain things? Again, this is my realization that something more happens before that, which is I'm going through the cycle of birth and death. And I'm carrying certain sanskars because of my previous desires. That has become my nature. And that sanskars leads to what I desire in this life. So one part is sanskars that leads to desire, and second part is association. So one is sanskar, which is I'm carrying forward, and hence one of the child could be doing something else. Even the parents and education is same, and one could be doing something else. The second part is association. That is where we have some choice whom we associate with. That can influence our previous sanskars and desires to build new set of desires. And that is where we can see that how Srila Prabhupada has so beautifully, so simplified this process for us by building these facilities and temples and the whole process to create this association globally, worldwide. No matter where we go, if you hear Kartal, you hear Madanga, you will get prasadam somehow. I have experienced this. I was in Paris one time. Our flight got delayed, and they said, you can't go now to India. You stay here. We are going to give you hotel. We said, okay, you know what? Let's go to Paris. There must be some temple here. So we could not find anything in Paris to eat anywhere. And it was very hard. So I said, okay, I don't know where to go, how to go. We found this, on Yellow Pages a long time back. And we were able to find the number of the temple. And we said, Prabhu, how do we come? We don't know how to come there. And he said, okay, don't worry. I'm going to send you a car there. It's about 1 hour drive. I think it was Pitavas Prabhu, if I'm right. Several years back, he was president of the temple. He sent us the car. They have this beautiful service. Some devotee was doing it. I said, oh my God, this is such a savior. We went there. He gave us the room to stay. And we get wonderful prasadam in the morning. I said, oh my God, we can get this in Paris. That is Srila Prabhupada's mercy of association. And they were struggling so much on every day. In France, Paris, they were forced to lock down every time, and they would restart. They were forced to lock down every time. They had to restart. Again and again, they would keep doing this. And so that was such an experience for me there, that I felt that this is the model. If even the material world or the corporate people or companies look at how to make people successful, they can take principles from Srila Prabhupada's teaching, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and really make this world such a wonderful place. Otherwise, we are just going to be in the trap of making these goals and milestones, which leads to nothing. And this is such a wonderful thing that, what we call in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2, when Krishna and Arjuna are discussing, the conversation leads to identity crisis that Arjuna has at the time, that I don't know what to do. And at the end of chapter 1, and actually it's a midlife crisis for Arjuna, really. I have reached at this point, I have no clue what to do. And that is exactly what happens in today's world, that we have this midlife crisis, which is really nothing but identity crisis. That at some point of time in my life, we have no clue why I am doing certain things and why should I do this. And at that time, in whatever is called mid-40s, mid-50s, our relationships are not working very well. Our children really don't care. They do not want to be with us. Our parents are very old and or not there. Our friends and spouse not working out very well. If we are working, our corporate side, we don't know, why am I doing this work? And that leads to what clinically called midlife crisis. But it is nothing but the identity crisis, because all our life we lived in this false identity that I am this body, and hence I have to perform at the body platform. And after achieving the goals that I set for the body, I don't know what to do. It's like climbing to a hill, and at reaching at the top of the hill, I see another hill, another hill, another hill. So I make another goal. And that is how even the richest of the richest people, famous of the most famous people, most successful people, everybody lives their life like that, which causes havoc in our material life. And every single day, the culture is changing so much, it's so bad that I am so afraid of our next generation. What culture are they going to live in? Even from technology perspective, it has become such a difficult place to work. Every day, I typically collect headlines for my Bhakti Vraksha, and it is so sad that every single day in terms of relationship, I see that, you might, some of you who read news, you can probably relate to this. In the relationships these days, if it is not working, okay, I'm gone. Not only just gone, I'm going to cut you in pieces, put in a refrigerator. And I thought this is one-time news. Every single day in every country this is happening. Because, or I'll get some insurance money, or I'll do something, or if I'm not going along with you, you cannot have my child, and I'm either going to kill the child, literally. So this is the culture that is based on, deeply based on this technology influence or association that is happening. Because there are influencers who are creating this culture, and we more and more we associate. Again, going back to the same fundamental principle of association, that is the mentality we are going through. And same thing we see that, that is why we see high schoolers especially are significantly influenced with this identity crisis, which typically happens in midlife, is happening right there. That if I do not have this digital identity of so many likes, my life is not worth living. To the extent that one time most advanced nation on the planet, which is Japan, actually has a formal place where people can go and commit suicide. It's such a sad state of Kali Yuga. But amazing thing is that in every country we'll get Hare Krishna. So we have a hope. So I think that was some of my realizations around this. So I think we have an opportunity. I have an opportunity. I really thank you all that as I came to this dham, it really helped me think differently. I am more motivated. I'm more encouraged with all of you to come to temple more often. Otherwise, I was coming once a week when I was living, Flower Mound, right? You have been there. So I was very happy in my own world, but I know the world is bigger. Thank you very much. Any thoughts, comments, corrections? I'll be happy to take feedback.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you for your Bhagavatam class and sharing your realizations. I feel I'm in a very similar boat. One question is, you were referring to, working extremely hard to obtain that which is very difficult to obtain. Somehow I feel like in today's world, what is hard work relative? It's so relative. How to assess this is extremely hard, or because we always feel like we're trained, oh, you can do it. Just, push yourself a little bit more, you can do it. So how to know this is extremely hard to obtain, or this is my basic nature, and I should just engage in it and dovetail it in Krishna's service.
Thank you very much, Mataji. First of all, thank you to you for pushing me to do this class. We can see that in two contexts. On the material platform, the culture pushes us to make these goals, because the definition of success is when you are at certain level in terms of your title or your compensation or your status in society, then you are called successful. This is typical culture regardless of what country you are from, meaning I'm going to throw my child into now, whether that my child is capable of going to certain college or not, but I want that child to go to Ivy League school. And for that, I'm going to do everything whatever possible, and the child is struggling somehow or the other way, they make it, or if don't make it, then they are part of humiliation within the family members or the society. That, oh, your child did not go to that school, my child went to that school. So there's a lot of pressure, and in this Kalachanji community, we may not see it, But the moment we step out, just a mile outside of this, you will see this very, very prominent. And so in that process, as an example, I'll take my own example. At one point of time, my goal was that I want to be the C executive, meaning CEO, CIO type role. And I knew that it can take 20 years, 25 years for me to get there. And over the period of time, as I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, started looking at things differently. And then I was interacting with this very so-called successful people. And I see how miserable they are after achieving those goals, where they spend 25, 30 years of their life. And they're exactly at the same place where someone who might start with that anxiety, I don't know what to do in my life. So what I realized from that, our health is bad at that time. We have sacrificed relationships with loved ones to get there. And really, after achieving those goals, I am meaningless because now I have to get another goal for another 20 years. And I'm going to be old age, diseased, and die. Then what is the benefit of that? I worked very hard, extremely hard, to achieve very little result. So we have to be really smart, even on material platform, that how do we use the facilities to get something enough that helps us in our real goal, which is really the spiritual upliftment. On the other hand, on the spiritual side, I can say the same thing. I'm working very hard and I'm chanting and nothing is happening. But this verse itself says that even if we do a little bit of a service, even if we are able to make some association, even if we are in association with Vaishnavas, Krishna will never leave us. And so I feel that once we have that knowledge, then we can use that intelligence, that how do we prioritize things and how do we align even what we call material goals actually with right hetu. Because hetu is the Sanskrit word which means the purpose of that. If it is without purpose, we'll keep doing what everybody is doing. But if we align that to a hetu of my life, which is really, become the servant of Krishna, once we have that understanding, then everything aligns very well. That is my realization. Otherwise, we will just keep doing same thing. People work really hard. Look at even why we have wars. That is exactly the reason, that we have no hetu, we have no understanding what should be the goal of my life. And so we work hard and hard and hard to do some project, some activity for some material result that leads to, again, old age, disease, and death. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but was that?
Thank you, Prabhu. Just for us to meditate some more also, like you were saying, to analyze and
Yes.
go internally and see. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So nice to have you give Bhagavatam class. I hope it'll be the first of many more.
Thank you, Mataji.
And actually, so much of your class reminded me of a class I listened to recently by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So I just wanted to share some of my notes from that. It absolutely echoes everything that you have been explaining to us. Thank you so much. So he said, the opportunity to serve the servants of the Lord is infinitely greater than all the wealth in the universe, because through this we capture the heart of Krishna. So all of us have the greatest fortune. Why should our minds be disturbed with thinking that we need something else? Sometimes we're in so much distress because we have so many economic needs and desires for respect and recognition, and the whole world is struggling to achieve these things, but they bring no real happiness, only frustration. But all of us have at every moment the greatest treasure. We have the opportunity to serve Prabhupada and his devotees, and any little service we render is an eternal investment in the spiritual world.
Thank you very much. The amazing thing about Maharaj is that he simplifies the philosophy so well that when he's speaking to these corporate executives, you say, oh my God, this was so simple. It's so amazing.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you
So,
very much.
like Mataji said, I hope this will be the first of many more. Please do give Bhagavatam classes. Thank you for sharing
Thank you very much.
your wealth of experience and also, channeling that through Krishna consciousness so that people who especially work in the corporate world can learn to see things in the proper perspective. So that's very valuable. Thank you for
Thank you very
sharing
much,
that.
Prabhu.
I just have one reflection, and maybe you can also share because you do work in the corporate world. And I'm speaking this for me personally. When you are in a management role, you somehow it is the nature of the beast that you have to push people to achieve their targets, their goals. You have to encourage them, motivate them, all different ways. And you have to make them learn, grow, because technology changes, they cannot stagnate. And as part of leadership, that is one of the things that you have. And of course, that is part of your job. There is nothing you can do about it. So how do you, to what you said, having like a goal to achieve, how do you channelize that to say, I'm doing this so that this will help you, or, I mean, it's my job, but how do you add Krishna consciousness to that? Because it's a job responsibility, you have to do it, but how do you add Krishna to that, especially when you're dealing with subordinates and all of that?
Thank you, Prabhu. That's a very difficult situation at the workplace, especially for the devotees who are now in the devotional service board and working there. In 2009, when the market crashed, at that time, I was in a company and my role was, I was overseeing 20 US states for service delivery. And in my team, I had 2,000 people. And at that time, as markets crashed, I was laid off. And I was thinking that I am the most important person. And if I change my job, what will happen to these 2,000 people and 20 US states? And I was working like crazy that I really have to, I was the controller, I'm the savior, I'm going to do everything for these people. Without me, they will not survive. I was laid off, I had no job in 2009, and that 1 year gave me good time to contemplate on it. They all survived, they made progress, they were very happy. And so my realization from that was that, and how do I do it now, right? I'm still in the corporate world. I'm part of helping sell technology solutions. I deal with people in almost every country these days. How do I deal with that situation? I think one thing, personally, what I do it, Prabhu, is that I think I am practicing every day not to be intimidated by the corporate results expected from that work. Meaning, sorry, this might be boring for some of you, but again, I'm trying to answer from a personal example or realization that there is a goal that we have to sell 100 million, and for that there's a team of people and I have to help those team and set goals, as you said, motivate them, learn new things. If I do not get that 100 million, then I will not get certain things. I think it goes back to karmanne vadikaraste, right? That results are not in my control. What is in my control is the process. And in that process, in order to serve Krishna, I have to define the hetu again. Why am I doing this? In that hetu, with the purpose, I'm working with 50 more people, and I want them to be successful with whatever I have to give them, even on material platform, but at the same time, can I give them glimpses of mode of goodness? Can I give them glimpses of what is a spiritual life. How do you connect? Because they have the same suffering. They are on the same path. They may achieve the goal. They're going to be crying after that. They might have blood pressure, other problems, or relationship issues. So how do I give them a little bit of the glimpse of the mode of goodness at workplace? So they also do it, but they do it with the mood that, okay, if I'm going to give 100%, but if I do not achieve, it's fine. It's not the end of the life. There's a bigger purpose to that. So for that, I do seminars. I actually meet with my teams every month twice at work. Not related to work exactly, how do you code this, how do you technically do this, but let us talk, take a step back, let us take a look at bigger picture. And in that discussion, we actually talk about 3 modes of material nature every single time. And hopefully with the hope that eventually everybody can progress toward the mode of goodness. The rest is their choice.
Haribo. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm going to connect with you offline.
Thank you.
One more.
Yes, Madhu.
Hare Krishna. I just thank you so much for the class. I just wanted to share something that yesterday I shared the breakfast with Mataji. I can't remember her name, but she says that she lives in McKinney, and her spiritual name starts with Bhakti, but I cannot remember her full name. I just wanted to share that she was saying that a few years ago she was renting her house to a woman, a single woman, a single mother, and a few months passed and she wasn't able to pay her rent. So anyway, I just wanted to share that I was moved by her generosity, because she said that the woman stayed 6 months. She was unable to pay rent, and this Mataji was, she was patient, and she said that at the end, she was feeling like, she was doing something good for her, and she was just wishing her well, and that she could pay it back with somebody else. I was moved by that. Thank you.
That's very nice gesture, but there is a caveat to it. Sometimes we think that we are going to do something good to somebody, but again, it goes back to the fundamental that what is the purpose of that? Not necessarily, not everybody can afford to do that. For somebody live there in their house for 6 months and not pay the rent, because somebody has to pay mortgage. So again, this is a material problem, so there is no good solution for that. Whatever decision you take, it is the complex karmic situation if that person has to get out of the house or not. But the important thing is that what I have learned is that every time when we are doing anything, any charity also in this case, if it is done without hetu, without purpose, why am I doing it? Purpose not for sense gratification, but purpose that hopefully with this charity, I can create more Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, the charity is not in mode of goodness. That charity could be in mode of ignorance and mode of passion. Mostly mode of passion, that, oh, I want to help somebody. You give $10 to somebody who's under the bridge here, and that person goes and starts buying McDonald's burgers or take drugs. What is good with that charity? You may have someone live in the house, but if they use the house for non-Krishna consciousness purposes, they continue to have karmic reaction. And hence, we may be very compassionate, but if we do not help that person to elevate to Krishna consciousness, that charity is not really helping, taking that person out of old age, disease, and death cycle. So we have to be very careful when we do this. That is a great gesture. I'm not saying that is not a good thing. I'm sure Lord is there. But we cannot just generalize that to do charity. Krishna says that, or Srila Prabhupada explained that charity has to be given to the right person. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.